OK, let's go to Terry now in Uddingston. Terry.
Hi guys.
Hi Terry.
I'd like to put a point to Jim first of all, but my main person I'd like to take task is you, but I'll go to Jim first.
When do you go, Terry?
Jim, you're getting well schooled, son. I heard you earlier dealing with that caller where he suggested about referees being biased or touched on it, and you did what all good journalists do on your shows. You totally exaggerate the guy's point by saying you mean all referees are biased, there's no honest referees, when the guy's never said that or even suggested that. But then the time goes by and the person's point's lost. So well done, Jim, you're getting well schooled there, mate.
Thanks Terry, I'm glad I'm learning.
That's good. So I'd like to go to Shoe, and Danny touched on it, and I think he had a point, and I'm not going to apologise or hide behind. I think there's bias in every part of Scottish football, refs, the SFA, journalists, because simply it's part of human nature, and to deny it, I think you're kidding yourself on at worst, at best, and you're lying at worst. What I would say is, if you want to take an example, take the press for instance. I look forward to the day when Celtic can win one game in 20 games in Europe, one game out of 20, and it not even be mentioned. I can't imagine that happened, but it happened during the week. Rangers were playing, one victory in the last 20, no mention of it. That's just a wee instance. Take George Peat at the SFA. He can come out in public and apologise for the Liechtenstein national anthem getting abused, but one of his managers, the Celtic manager, has had death threats, and he's conspicuous by his silence. We've also got the press, not only the questions that they do ask, but the questions that they don't ask. No seeking of opinion from former referees, from managers, current managers. Like, I can't imagine if Walter Smith had had death threats that Neil Lennon's opinion wouldn't have been sought on that. I can't imagine if a Celtic player had physically manhandled a referee, that there'd be no opinion sought of former referees like Kenny Clark, Willie Young, the usual suspects that get trotted out on these occasions. So I believe there is bias, but it's not always by what's said, it's by what's not said and by what's not asked.
Yep.
Well, as far as Neil Lennon's concerned, I regard my hands as being clean, because I've always said here that I abhor what Neil Lennon has to put up with. I've written in the Sunday Mail a column regretting the life that Neil Lennon is forced to lead. I was praised by Joe, one of the earlier callers, for what I said about Neil Lennon on this programme last Monday. So, in terms of Neil Lennon, my hands are clean. In terms of former referees that Terry wants to be quoted, Kenny Clark is contracted to the Sun newspaper, therefore you'll know where to find Kenny. He's in the Sun. And former referees are consulted from time to time. And as for Walter Smith's record in Europe, it has been brought up in the past, and it has been held against him. And there are plenty of newspaper forums. Daily Record has one where, after European defeats of a particularly embarrassing nature, Walter Smith is regularly taken to task by his own supporters, and I've taken all the calls myself, and I've written all the hotline columns myself, so it is mentioned.
Jim, are journalists guilty of not asking enough questions?
Yeah, maybe they are. I don't look at all the questions that get asked to managers. I mean, I really don't think it'll matter what we say to Terry, because Terry's he's quite openly admitted that he believes that there's bias towards Celtic, and there'll be conspiracy theories and everything else. So I think that the only thing, as I've said before, Sheila, when you get yourself as deep as that, and you feel as if things are as deep as that, then no matter what anyone says to you, you're not going to believe them anyway. I mean, I've been involved in football. And when you think you've got a decision against you when you're playing Celtic or Rangers or whoever it happens to be, but particularly the bigger clubs, then you believe the decisions go against you, much more so. And I think when you talk to ex-players who have played for Celtic and Rangers, they will say when they leave the clubs and when they move on, they realise that they got the bigger decisions more often than not. The only thing that Terry will probably concern about is with the decisions in accordance with when they play Rangers. And that's sometimes where they get the blinkered views, because they believe that Rangers would get the benefit of something that Celtic wouldn't, or the press are kinder to Rangers. I can't speak for the press. I don't work for the press, so I can only give my opinion on the situations I deal with. And I think that referees are honest. I think they've made mistakes. I've had referees come up to me, including Kenny Clark, and apologising for a mistake or an error that they believe they've done, and were good enough to do it. And I think you get respect for that. And as I say, so, and I think referees referee the match with extreme integrity. And I think if you look at the decades of football, there may be the odd incident here and there, which, as Terry quite rightly says, is part and parcel of life, that someone may have made a decision. But over many, many decades, I believe that referees have refereed with integrity and honesty.